What is up, Asymmetry? How y'all doing? Well, as Mirai rounds the corner on repotting 2 more trees, we cut out a little early yesterday to try and get a little bit of time with Austin Heitzman. It's difficult to pin down somebody who's so prolific in the work that they're producing and creating. And Austin, as far as woodworking, merging of the organic with the architectural, creative artistry in the realm of stands and furniture, is a standalone individual talent. And getting to sit down and talk with him is something that I always enjoy, always learn from, and always walk away with new inspiration and ideas. And this conversation is no different. Fun to catch up with my buddy. I consider Austin an incredibly good friend, and to hear about the exciting things that he's got on the plate and on the horizon. Looking forward to you guys getting to enjoy the conversation and get a little more insight into the wild man that is Austin Heitzman. Enjoy. Yeah, keep talking.
I'm talking. You talking? Let's be talking.
I am
All
talking.
right. I'm talking and I'm digesting. So
You're talking and digesting. I can't believe I
yeah.
caught. I can't believe I caught you in the middle of dinner.
Well, I was trying to wrap it up. I kind of gotten a little tizzy with Ash because I was like, yeah, let's eat early so I can like digest and be done before this thing. And that just didn't happen. Oh,
Well,
I was
technically, you did a good job. I just, I'm negligent.
well,
I'm negligent in reading my text messages.
yeah, there's that issue too. And well, I was hoping to be done with dinner at like 6. She's on the bed horizontal. She's like, yeah, I just need to be horizontal for a minute. I'm like, yeah.
That's awesome.
How about that?
How
So,
about it? How about it?
anyway, the joys of cohabitation.
The joys of life, Austin. It's the joys of
Yeah,
life. It's the
yeah, there's
marrow. It's
plenty
the
of those.
marrow. It's the marrow that we suck out of every day, my friend.
Uh, yeah, yeah, I choked on that marrow. Uh,
Dude, you're
uh,
overwhelming me with positivity right now. I cannot handle this optimism.
sorry, I'm just a boiling cauldron of optimism here. So
Why you so
suck it
why you
out.
so I feel like this is when I see your Philly side come out.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, there is that side in
This
me.
is your this is
Um,
your Philly this is your Philly show.
yeah, when I go to the bar and I play pool, the same thing happens.
You
It's
just
fun.
you just turn into an East Coaster suddenly. This is what I recognized about human interactions on the East Coast. When they're mean, it's normal. When they're like quasi civil, that's nice. And when they're really mean, that's when they're just starting to get saucy.
Yeah, it's like friendly mean. It's
I,
kind of nice to collect
I don't know about
cultures.
friendly mean. I mean, it was like a different world learning how to interact with people from the Northeast.
Well, I feel like they interact in a friendly way through meanness. Like
You keep
I have
making me
this,
cough, dude. Stop
yeah, yeah,
it.
take a drink. I have this distinct memory of Ashley's dad. I went to the grocery store with them once, and I mean, so it's a grocery store. So you got like moms with kids in their carts, like everything. We're in the parking lot, and he sees another friend of his on the other side of the parking lot. And at the top of his lungs, he screams like, hey, fuckweed, at the other guy. And the other guy yells, similar back. And I'm just like, dude, there is like 50 kids within earshot right now, and you guys are yelling a city block at each other, and
Right,
just abusing each
profanities.
other.
Yeah.
Profanity, abusive, just destroying each other,
Oof.
publicly with a loudspeaker. And that was normal,
God, I
you
had that.
know.
I had that experience. I had that experience in New York City. Uh, I was at a deli in New York City, and these two, I'm saying like late 70s, early 80-year-old women come in, and they are dropping F bombs. I mean, left and right. I was astounded and impressed, and also just out of my depth. I had no idea what to do with
Yeah.
that. I didn't know how to respond. They weren't talking to me. I was just observing, and it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing.
It
It was a different culture.
It took me 7 years to learn how to play that tennis, and I am by no means an expert. Like I can kind of hold my own these days, and I have a few friends around town that I got a buddy I go play pool with, and we can, I can turn it on and we can have a ball, playing pool, just killing each other. And I appreciate that. It's a fun mental game to keep the banter up. Like being able to just keep cutting like that does take a certain level of mental stimulation to be able to just come up with it,
Yeah, you got to be quick-witted to hang with it, man.
Oh,
Otherwise,
you
you
got to be
just get
quick.
destroyed. You get ruined. You go home crying.
Yeah, and a cut doesn't count unless it's quick.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, we'll text and I'll be at work and he'll text me an insult and I don't see it for 45 minutes. And then I text him back an insult and he's like, oh, you had to think about that one.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't count if it's delayed.
Yeah.
It has to be instant,
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Fast rebuttal.
Yeah, otherwise it's just a flaccid nothing,
I think I understood. I see this side of you come out periodically, typically on installs. I see Feisty Austin. And I think you summed it up when you told me the story about somebody stealing your computer out of your window in Philadelphia while you were literally sitting there working on it, maybe?
No, I wasn't working on it.
Okay.
We were in it was this like shotgun house. So it was like living room in the front, bedroom in the middle, kitchen in the back, one hallway kind of connected them all. And me and Ash were in the front watching TV. And we had like these mice issues going on at the time. And I heard this noise in the bedroom, which was one room back. And I'm like, oh, those fucking mice. And the point of this is I had just taken the computer to the shop to get repaired. I spent $400 on it like 2 days ago, And I'm going back to the kitchen, assuming that's where the mice are going to be. And I go past the bedroom on the way to the kitchen, and the computer was by the window in the bedroom. And I look over in the bedroom for whatever reason, and the window's there, open, and the computer's gone.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. $400, it just flashed in my mind. That was what really got me, was I just fixed this thing. And so I run over there and I hear the guy in the alleyway running and just like instantaneously dove out the window head first. It was Philly row home, so we were a story and a half up because the basement was half below, half above. So it was a full story and a half up. Went face first out the window, landed on my hand to break my fall, cut my hand to pieces. Chased the guy down the alleyway, and he had a bicycle, and he was trying to get on his bicycle, steer the bicycle, and hold the computer under his arm, which was slowing him down. And I was able to catch up to him. I jumped over the back wheel of the bicycle and grabbed him on both shoulders. He threw the computer like 6 feet before that, and I was like, okay, I know where that is. I don't need it. I need him.
Got it back.
Yeah, computer's back. It's there. That threat's over. Now it's his turn. Jumped over the back of the bike, grabbed him by the shoulders. He was wearing this like loose leather jacket. And I've never seen, he just like melted out of that jacket. I've never seen anybody strip a piece of clothing that quickly in my life. And I was left with the bike between my legs, his jacket in my arms, and he was across the street. And at that point, the adrenaline kind of calmed enough where it was like, wow, he might have a weapon. Maybe I should just stop. So I ended up getting the computer back, and I got his jacket and bicycle in the process, which I stupidly gave to the cops as evidence, thinking we were going to get fingerprints and catch this guy. And so they were in an evidence locker somewhere in Philly. Probably got sold by a cop for extra scratch on the side one day or something. Who knows?
Absolutely.
But at least I feel like I evened the score on that one. Computer work too.
Wow. Wow. I'm just thinking about your instinct to jump out of the window a story and a half up head first.
There was no, adrenaline's a powerful sauce, man.
That's a parkour. That's a highly trained parkour move.
That was not a conceptualized move. That was pure knee jerk.
So what you're telling me is you could be Spider-Man?
Maybe, if you get me mad enough, I guess.
I see. I knew there was something unique about you. I just didn't know what it was.
I would say it's more Incredible Hulk than Spider-Man. I feel like Spider-Man has control over it, whereas Incredible Hulk is completely and utterly at the mercy. And I think I'm more that.
Nice.
there's no control here. I can't turn it on and off and use it efficiently. It's
Well,
just a matter of, well, here we go.
now we know how to talk about it. It's when Austin hulks out.
Yeah, yeah. Occasionally, I've learned to get a little bit of control at my own age, or maybe just my testosterone levels are dropping, so it doesn't turn on as
You're
much.
more mellow now.
A lot more mellow, yeah. Which, can't complain too much about that one.
That's great.
Um, so I think we're all kind of mellow with age. Fine wines.
You know what it is you just get your ass kicked so much by life that it just chips away at any sharp edge that you had. It just gets dulled and dented and bent, and you're just like, yeah, I don't
I
know.
think that to a degree, and that you end up stabbing yourself with that fucking edge too many times,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
right.
okay,
Backfires.
yeah, like I need to put a couple seconds into this thought process before I break something or do something I regret later. Like I need to
Yeah.
find a way to process this
Take
and
a deep
not go,
breath. Uh huh.
yeah, you can't go 0 to 60 balls out. You got to go slowly. I think enough of
Yeah.
those times it's like, okay. And then you learn your strategies.
Yeah,
So
I feel like if you go 0 to 60 too many times, when you see people that don't learn that lesson, those are the people that when you see them later in life, you're like, oof,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
oh man, ooh, life has been hard on
It,
you. Yeah.
well, it's you being hard on you is the thing. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
even
yeah.
life
But when
at
you
that
see
point. Yeah,
them, you're like, oh damn,
yeah. It's like,
that caught up.
yeah, you
Shoot.
just keep kicking yourself in the nuts, and
Yeah,
you're like,
totally,
wow, I'm glad I
exactly.
learned to not abuse myself.
Well, thank goodness that's not us, Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
Two entrepreneurs doing the most obscure thing ever,
Yeah,
and trying to make a living at it. Yeah, we're totally not that person.
yeah. There was a total roadmap there when we came into this on how to make it work.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
So
know,
many people had done it before us. It seemed natural.
yeah, it's just like you see the biggest mountain in the world, and you're like, I can build a road over that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, not only climb it, I'm gonna carry a bunch of stuff with me and try to stay up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna pave this thing, and we're gonna
I'm
make
gonna
it great.
pave it. I'm gonna pave it. I'm gonna domesticate this.
Yeah,
I got this.
I'm
Come
gonna tame
on.
that. Yeah, grabbing a boulder, come help me. So yeah, I got that mountain tamed now. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and I already talked about this, but you're in recovery mode at the moment.
I almost, yeah, kind of.
Did you get
As
cleared?
of
Did you say you got cleared?
no,
Oh.
no, tomorrow at nine
Oh,
fifteen.
tomorrow's D-Day.
Tomorrow is D-Day, and I know this is going to come out future days, so it won't be tomorrow. It'll be past, and
Oh
hopefully
no,
by
it'll
that
be
time
tomorrow.
I'm prepared.
It'll be tomorrow.
Oh,
Actually, when people are hearing this, it will it will be D-Day for you. This will come out
all right.
tomorrow.
Well, when people listen to this tomorrow, send some hella good vibes because it'll either happen or it won't
Yep.
tomorrow at 9:15.
Yep. So when people are
And
listening to this, you need to be sending Austin the vibes
yeah,
immediately because he will be in his appointment to find out if he can lift more than a fork.
exactly. And hopefully, in my hopes of hopes, I won't even be in that office. I'll be already at the shop lifting that 2 forks.
You'll be at the shop lifting 200 plus pounds, hoping that everything stays
Yeah,
together.
everything's good. Yeah, don't pop it out. Yeah, it's been 3 weeks of nothing over a gallon of milk. And so you can imagine the hole that dug with that. And I
Yeah.
had time to prepare for this. This wasn't like a sudden thing. I had plenty of lead up to it, and I did everything to prep and get everything done and organize jobs. And I mean, it was more work going into this thing than it is just, you know, fucking living day to day.
Yeah, of
It's a lot of
course.
work to take 3 weeks off.
I can't
Uh,
imagine. Yeah. I mean, but you've been living with this hernia for how long?
since 24, like 2.5 years, 2 years, something like that, maybe a
And
bit.
and not, I would say not cautiously existing with it. And then I think it really struck home with me when you said something to the degree that it could rupture and kill you or something.
It's not that it can rupture, it can get, but what basically the hernia is, you get a hole in your kind of abdominal lining,
Hmm.
and your intestines poke out that hole.
Uh-huh.
And the problem is, if it gets pinched, and the blood supply gets cut from the intestines that are poking out,
Uh-huh.
then you got problems. The doctor told me basically, if you can push them back in the hole, you're good. But if you can't push them back in, you got about 15 minutes to get to the hospital,
Oh
or
no.
it's bad news. Um, your intestines die,
So
or parts of your intestines die at that point, and that's not good.
you know what it
Um,
feels like to push your intestines back into your body?
I've been playing with my intestines for 2 years now.
That's
Um,
crazy. That's
it's
crazy sauce. That's
it's
disgusting. Awesome.
the weirdest. And over the course of those 2, I had one hernia on the one side, and over the course, I got one on the other side. So I was doubled up, double hernia, which is awesome because I was able to 2 for 1 on the surgery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Double
I'm
dipping.
100% now. Yeah, exactly. It worked out great. I mean, I was even talking to the doctor. It's like, yeah, the price for 2 is the same as 1.
Huh.
It's just like, we'll just pan over there and get the other.
God,
So
what
I
do
got
they
an
do? They
extra.
sew it up? Is that what they do?
They take a mesh,
Uh-huh.
like a surgical mesh, and they implant that over the hole in my abdominal lining. And then my body integrates with the mesh
Mm-hmm.
and grows into it and fuses. And that's why we have the 3 weeks, is because it takes that time for my body to integrate the mesh into my body. The risk is if I lift too much too early, I can pop the mesh out of place
Mm-hmm.
and the intestines just go right back out. Once your body is grown into the mesh and integrated, it's stronger than the abdominal lining is before. I mean, it's like, it's bulletproof. Like once you're healed up, super rare to bust the mesh. It's really strong at that point.
Yeah, you're more like
Um,
Venom than Spider-Man. I'm deciding. Yeah, you've like
maybe I don't know
you've
what
merged with this alien
we're
entity.
outside of my comic book understanding for me to be able to truly comment and understand the
It's all good.
comparisons at this point.
It's all good. There's very few
I
people
know.
that are listening that know what the hell I'm talking about anyways. But those that do, when you know, you know. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm sure. I bet Taft is right there with you on this one. He's.
Taft was more of a DC Flash kind of guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was the Marvel kid. Yeah.
Yeah, ooh, yeah. That's a tough one to get to navigate as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, DC. I do know enough to know that DC's. Eh.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Listen, Batman is an awesome movie. Batman comic books, no thank you.
Yeah.
Superman, no thanks. Green Lantern, no, can't do it.
Yeah. I always thought he was a rather silly one,
Yeah,
Green Lantern.
yeah. I just think DC in general is pretty silly. But anyways, we can have this conversation. Anybody who wants to have a conversation about comic books,
We're isolating 5
bring
listeners at this
it.
point, and we're losing the rest.
Dude, I just got my comic book collections back. They've been
Oh yeah.
at my parents' place. Yeah, I just got them back like a couple months ago.
Is that pretty extensive? Are you a
Oh
big
yeah,
comic
oh,
book
yeah.
guy?
I have like 5,000 to 6,000 comics, man.
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, all cataloged and like dialed in, and yeah,
Where do, where do you store that? I mean, that's a lot of volume.
it is a lot of volume. Yeah, no, they're in a storage facility. They're in a
Oh,
storage facility with the Artisan's Cup, exactly where they belong.
uh, that's nice. I got my baseball card collection recently. My parents moved out of their house into kind of an older community, so they totally downsized and sent me all my baseball card stuff.
Okay, is that
Some of which is,
extensive?
yeah, I mean, a lot of it's crap. I mean, they made so many baseball cards in the 90s. Apparently, 90s baseball cards are essentially valueless. There's not a lot in them.
Hmm.
There's a couple of old ones that were worth a little bit that are kind of cool. I got an old, like, 1906 cigarette box baseball card
Ooh.
that I'm pretty into.
Ooh.
And some 60s stuff, and some Don Mattingly and
Yeah.
Kirby Puckett,
Hell yeah.
that.
Let's go. Kirby Puckett. Come on, baby.
Yeah,
Tony
I
Gwynn
know.
all day long. Cal Ripken
Yeah,
Jr.
I know. I think I got like rookies of those guys, so those are
Yeah.
kind of cool, and
Yeah.
I'm holding on to them. But the vast bulk, I mean, like the
Yeah.
the 92 top set, it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, there's probably 2 in there that are worth anything, and the
Yeah.
rest are like a penny to a nickel if you're lucky.
And when they
You know.
were worth something, then that player, ultimately had a catastrophic decline, like a Ken Griffey Jr. It's like Ken Griffey Jr. cards were top of the top when he was like in his heyday, and now Ken Griffey Jr. cards are
Yeah, I
And I
know.
know that because I traded all of my micro machines, had a pretty comprehensive set of micro machines, for a foil Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. And it's worth nothing. And those micro machines are worth an unfathomable amount of money now.
I mean, me and Cooper talking about micro machines the other day. I would give anything to be able to share my micro machines collection with him.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was talking about them, and he was asking. I was like, I have one micro. They did those micro machine trains.
Uh
I
huh.
think it was micro machine that did them, and I have like one left of that.
Yeah.
And he's fascinated by it because he's really into trains these days. And he was just like, "Holy shit! Like, there's more of these things." I'm like, "Oh yeah, airplanes." And then they had the minis that were the little ones that went inside the big ones. And I was
Oh
like,
my
I think
God,
we
I forgot
Googled it.
about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
The minis inside. Yes.
I
God.
know. And I had them all.
Oh,
And,
what a
you
great
know,
time to be a kid, though. Come on.
I know. Well, he always complains now. He's like, why is it all healthcare commercials these days and not toy
Yeah.
commercials? He's like, you're
Yeah.
so lucky when you were a kid, you got toy commercials and
It's
you
true,
got
though.
shit in your cereal. And I'm like, I know. That
Kids
was
don't even
awesome.
have action figures anymore. I had G.I. Joes, I had Thundercats, I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, I had He-Man figures, I had Star Wars figures, like you name it. I had
Yeah.
every the greatest thing that I ever got involved with was daycare. And at the time, I didn't realize how valuable daycare was because I hated going. A lot of kids, a lot of snot, a lot of barf, a lot of peeing the pants, all of the things that happened at daycare. And it was like one of my neighbor's moms that operated the daycare, and she was not that nice. But now I kind of realized that she was just taking care of all these kids, and that won't make anybody really not that nice or super upset.
Yeah.
But when the daycare dissolved, all of the cumulative toys of all of these kids coming to this one place and leaving everything behind was like a comprehensive set of Star Wars. I mean, Ewok Village, Millennium Falcon, any of like the TIE fighters and the
Oh,
Snow Walkers and the Tauntaun. I had everything, man. It was awesome. Awesome. And as easy as that came into my life,
you could
I,
retire on that these days.
yeah, well, exactly. I went to college and my mom was like, "Yeah, I gave your Star Wars to the neighbor." And I was just like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And then I had all of my like other action figures grammatically sealed with their weapons and everything intact and organized. And then Taft went to stay with my parents, and my mom's like, "Oh, I opened up your old toy chest, and Taft has been playing with it." And like the next time I saw my GI Joes and my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they were missing arms, heads, weapons were long gone.
Yeah.
It was total destruction. And that's when I realized, like, yes, Taft is my son, but we are very different in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah,
It's funny how genes get passed through and what they become.
totally.
That and having a son, I've just learned how to accept attrition into my life. It's
Yeah,
just like everything Coop has ever owned has been destroyed.
yeah, yeah.
And it's
It's
just
gonna
like
get broken.
I cringe every time, just like tonight, he had this Lego battery box that was falling apart. And I was like, oh, we can just epoxy that back together and it'll be just fine. And I was asking him tonight, like, hey, we should epoxy that battery box back together. It's like, oh, I lost one of the pieces. I think it's done. And I'm like, dude, that like that's not free.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just not just
exactly.
done.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
it's like, that was a savable item. It's like, oh,
We're now
I'm
gonna
like,
make that piece out of epoxy as well.
yeah, exactly.
This
Time
is
to get some tin foil and a
that's
little bit of
right.
copper.
Some duct tape. This is gonna work. Trust me.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
Oh
it's
man,
kind of
good
like
vibes.
that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure when they're putting the telephone booth back together with the bubble gum and everything.
I never saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Ah, Um,
I
did,
missed it. I missed
I
it.
mean, it's not too late. It's never too late.
Here's the problem. I love movies from the 80s. I'm talking Stand by Me, Goonies. God, I watched Goonies so much as a kid. Like those that dark, that dark vibe of 80s movies, right? And but when you got to the 90s, they lost the darkness and then it was just corny. Because it was corny in the 80s, but it was dark corny.
Yeah,
You
I
know what
mean
I'm
the
saying?
dark corner's
Labyrinth, Dark
fun, but
Crystal.
yeah,
Come on now.
I'm with you. Dark Crystal was a little odd.
It was
Um,
very odd. It was super out
yeah,
there.
like Willow, that was another one that was really
Ooh, nice
odd.
call, Willow. Love it.
I've
Love
been
it.
trying to
Mad
get Coop to
Mardigan.
watch Willow, and
Oh
he's
my
not ready
God.
for that one yet.
It's pretty
But
dark.
there are some gems in the
Did you ever see
90s.
Legend? Did you ever see
Yeah,
Legend? Oof,
Legend. That's
hardcore.
another one of those.
My parents shouldn't have let me watch that at the age that I watched that.
Yeah, well, I could say that for a lot of
Yeah,
things.
totally. there, there were no ratings back then, man.
I know. Well, we learned. I mean, that was the whole Gremlins thing. I mean,
Oof.
I guess PG-13 was developed for Gremlins because it was rated PG, and parents brought their kids to see this movie, and it just
Yeah.
traumatized the whole generation. And the parents were like completely just out of their minds upset about this, and they're like, "Wait a
Wow.
minute, this is not a children's movie," and they're like, "Well, it's not R either." And so they developed that whole rating based just simply on that one movie, apparently.
That's amazing because
Um,
Gremlins was messed up, man.
oh, I know.
Gizmo got taken to task by
Oh,
the
I know.
Gremlins.
I showed Coop that one, and it's not okay, but
Uh-huh.
definitely like he's like, yeah, this is creepy, and I'm like, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Like
is
it's like
creepy.
starts out cute and fun, and then goes full horror in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
They're like hanging
and
off chandeliers, drinking, like doing all kinds of
yeah,
nefarious things. They're so
well,
corrupted. It was
there's
crazy.
dark room jump scares, goo, kind of acid dissolving.
Yeah, that's right.
A couple people I'm pretty sure get killed
Uh-huh.
in the process, maimed for sure. There's like the snowplow or whatever.
That's
Um,
right. That's right.
it
Wow.
gets it gets unhinged.
Dude,
So
trip down memory lane. Oh my gosh, you're the only person that I've actually been able to go this deep on growing up in the 80s with.
yeah, well, I feel like I've been rewatching a lot of these with Coop, so I've got a real kind of I can pull quick and fast on them.
Yeah, that's nice. That's cool.
We were
Yeah.
just at a pizza joint the other day, and they had UHF on in the background,
I don't know what
and
that is.
it was the Weird Al Yankovic movie. Kramer from Seinfeld's in it too.
Epic.
Um,
Epic.
it's totally goofball, but funny, but just weird.
Yeah, Weird Al
Everything you would expect out of
Yankovic.
that guy.
He went to school in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly. He was a DJ at the Cal Poly radio station.
Was he?
I actually made it a point to use the restroom stall that he had used when he wrote his very first song. I want to say, "What's in the Middle?" The white stuff. Maybe that one. Oh,
The Oreo?
Oreo. Yeah, either
Yeah,
that
that
one
was his
or
first.
I don't. Nah, I'm trying. No, that couldn't have been his first. Anyways, it's one of his iconic songs, and he wrote it. He like etched it on the like stall of the
Yeah.
urinal or something, and so I went in to check it out, and it was legit.
Vanilla Ice went to my undergrad, um, and still played the local venue, the Groovy Mule, occasionally, and I went out to see Vanilla Ice at the Groovy Mule in 1999. Very much post.
Wow,
Still
wow.
playing the hits.
Did he
Uh,
do Ice Ice Baby?
oh yeah, of course he did Ice Ice Baby. He was like in his kind of like gangster spin at that point, so he kind of
Uh
put like a
huh.
dark spin on Ice Ice Baby.
Uh huh.
But yeah, he totally did it. I mean, he's been doing that for. I mean, that's all he's got.
Here's what I have to say about that though. Fantastic song.
Oh, I'm so happy to be there and see that.
I
You
bet.
know,
Fantastic song. Come on. That beat still holds up. Still holds up. I don't care if you think Vanilla Ice is the corniest dude out there. That beat holds up. That's like MC Hammer. MC Hammer holds up too, I think.
yeah,
The pants did not hold up, but the music did.
no, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the pants, there was issues with those.
Yeah,
I've
those are
got some
wild.
sweatpants that have a similar kind of look to them. Ash was making. She was like, "Yeah, but pooch," and I was like, "Yeah, they're my parachute pants."
Uh-huh. This is my
Uh,
hammer.
I
This is
was,
hammer time.
yeah, they're my hammer pants. I was
Uh-huh.
sporting them last night.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, they give you some extra room. I could see
God.
their benefit.
I bet they're tremendously comfortable. I never actually dove down that lane, but I'm sure they're
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, yeah. So what's new in the world of woodworking? I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to continue to listen to us hash out the '80s, but
Yeah, I know. This is what your audience is built on, isn't it?
exactly, comic books, micro machines, and Vanilla Ice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah,
that.
pretty
Yeah,
much. That's my demo. That's my
yeah.
demographic of
That's how we're
listeners.
gonna pay
Yeah,
this mountain.
that's right. That's how we
So we
expand.
keep
That's
this
how we
business.
expand Bonsai and use it to save the world.
Yeah. Woodwork. I got one thing I'm super excited about that I am hoping to get to tomorrow because I have to have it done by June 1st, which is not very far away. And doing a piece start to finish in 4 weeks for me is not slow.
Uh huh.
I like to say 12 weeks on a turnaround, so 4 weeks is lightning. But it is, ironically, I'm making a Shohin display for a Frank Lloyd Wright house in, I think, the Chicago area.
Whoa.
It's the lab. It's the fucking lab.
Uh huh.
Redux from someone who did not know that we did the lab. I did the lab, was part of that. All just random dude reached out, has a Frank Lloyd Wright house with a built-in planner in the center of this room. It was kind of a dividing planner, and he wants to eliminate the planner and in its place put a Shohin box display
Let's
that
go.
matches the architecture and woodwork of the house.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
And I got that email. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. I mean, is this real?
Giddy up.
I
Giddy
know. And I
up.
wrote on back and I'm like, I have a shocking amount of experience for this weird specific job. It's
I'm
like,
your guy. I am your guy for
yeah,
this.
yeah. Not only is this one in a million job, I've actually done this 3 times already.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
Like,
am
what are,
Frank Lloyd Wright inspired now.
yeah, it's like, what are the odds of that? I wrote right after he contacted me, I sent Ron Lang an email, just
Uh-huh.
kind of being like, hey, dude, check this shit out. And all he wrote, he sent me that Monty Python clip where it's like on Life of Brian, we're gonna go right back to the 70s now, where he gets abducted by the alien and he zooms around and then he crashes back into Earth and gets out, and the street guy's like, you lucky bastard.
I never saw Monty Python.
Oh, Life of Brian, totally worth it again.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah.
I can't do British humor. I just can't do it.
Oh, it's amazing. You were showing me the squeaky socks the other day or whatever. That's British.
Yeah, yeah, maybe some of it, but ultimately Monty Python was just too stupid.
Ah, it's so great. That's the so beauty of it. Life of Brian is a gem.
I
It
think
it
you've got
kind
to
of
be very sarcastically minded individual to watch that, and I just am
yeah.
not. Yeah, I'm not. I
Well,
can't stand sarcasm.
Life of Brian's their attack on Christianity, so I feel like it was very appropriate for their style of humor.
That's fair.
Uh, is kind of the life and times of Jesus in the most ridiculous fashion possible, and kind of
Nice.
how cults are devised and religions subdivide as a spoof.
Huh.
Uh,
So
but
anybody
anyway, yeah,
listening that wants to see some sarcastic British humor, there you go.
yeah, Life of Brian #1. Everybody
Go
loves the
eat your
Holy
heart
Grail,
out.
but Life of Brian's where it's at with me.
So with this Frank Lloyd Wright thing, he had, I mean, every house is a little bit unique and different, but he did a lot of geometric patterns in glass and woodwork
Yes.
and stuff throughout the house. Do you have imagery and all of that stuff for this?
Yeah, he sent photos of the house over, totally mahogany, just floor to ceiling
God,
mahogany
yeah.
everywhere. Um, with like very geometric. There's kind of this like kind of quasi lattice, not really lattice, but kind of this linear kind of shaping to the bottom of the island. So it's kind of got this series of horizontal bands with, pretty deep gaps in between. So you get this shadow and light effect on the woodwork. And so we're going to use some oxidization techniques on the bonsai stand because it's the scale shrinks, so you don't get the shadows
Yeah.
when you reduce the scale. And I want to create that kind of light and dark effect in it, but we can't do it naturally with light just because our scale is so diminished. So mahogany blackens really well with oxidization, high tannin content. So we're going to darken kind of as you would paint a model. We're going to paint the shadows on these things basically. And so we're going to darken the kind of interior spaces so they black out. And then the mahogany that's outside of that will be natural. And so you'll get that kind of light and dark banding. So we're going to take, the traditional box, modify it slightly to suit the architecture,
Cool.
and then go from there.
God,
So,
that's cool, man. That is so
and
freaking cool.
the two translate so well together. I mean, it really wasn't difficult to marry those two together.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be great because it's going to kind of form this kind of, because it's very much center of the room. So it's going to be this like pseudo screen between the two spaces that's going to have that transparency. And then you'll get to display both sides. It's going to be a double front kind of situation,
That is a
which will be pretty
prominent,
interesting.
that's a prominent piece of architecture inside of a prominent piece of architecture. Do you ever
Oh, I
feel
know.
daunted by that or intimidated, or are you just like, nah, let's
I feel
go?
blessed. I feel
Ah,
honored.
cool,
I don't
cool.
think it's a daunting thing. I think to have someone come to you and be like, hey, I want to include this permanently in a Frank Lloyd Wright house, and I want to make it feel like he designed it himself to put it in this space. So basically, I get to step into his skin and his brain and, think with his vision,
Uh-huh.
and this is someone who was very much in charge of his vision. I mean, this guy didn't like to let go of the
Dictatorially,
reins.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Like, I don't think this could be done if he was alive. I'd be getting a phone call right now,
He'd kill you.
um, which would be great. I would love that too. That would be
That
hilarious.
would be
Um,
that would be really interesting to hear what he would actually
I
say
mean,
to you.
that's a bucket list item to be threatened by Frank Lloyd Wright. I remember when we
Totally.
were doing the lab, there was that framed note from Frank Lloyd Wright in the bathroom of the house. And
Yeah.
he was, he had been fired as the architect on this house. And then they had progressed forwards building it. And knowing he was fired, knowing he was not involved, he still sent them a note. It was like 2 lines. And it was just like, hey, I just want you to know, I think the tiles should be this terracotta color.
Mhm.
And, no formality, no, hey, just like, hey, I know I'm not a part of this, but I'm still going to be a part of this. And it was just, I love that. I just thought that was the greatest. It's just the whole thing. I think it really encapsulated the man, and how he felt about his architecture and design. So to be eliminating a structure that he put into the house and replacing it with this, it's just like, that just feels like a dream for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. You might go to architecture hell for it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't
Yeah.
think architecture hell is a bad place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably not as bad as Philadelphia, but
Yeah, I know.
well, when I'm what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something about our experience with the lab in that house. Yeah, it's gone. Anyways, oh, have you ever seen the Ken Burns documentary about Frank Lloyd Wright?
God, I want to say I have, but I can't think of it right now. Maybe
Dude,
I haven't.
you need
Maybe
to,
I should.
if you want to really imbibe Frank Lloyd Wright, you should watch the Ken Burns documentary on
Oh,
Frank Lloyd Wright.
why did we not watch that when we were doing the lab?
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't
I
even
watched
think
it.
that came up.
I watched it. I watched it. I even bought
Oh,
it and then I loaned it to somebody and they never gave it back. So I don't have it anymore.
oh,
Otherwise, I could
I've
give it
got
to
it.
you. Yeah, but
Yeah, well, it's okay. I don't have a DVD player that works anymore anyway.
that's true, huh?
Um,
Yeah, as if you would
yeah,
have a DVD player that I could share that with you.
I've got an extensive DVD collection I'd love to watch right now, and I can't watch any of it. Um, but I'll definitely see if I can hunt that puppy
Yeah, find
down.
that. Find that one. It is comprehensive. It is absolutely fantastic. The thing about Frank
I,
Lloyd Wright that's so special is he made his best work after the age of 70.
yeah, that's
He's
funny to think.
he
You
spent
know.
because when we were talking we started this conversation out with talking about how the edges get dinged up and you learn by stabbing yourself with your own sharp edges and reacting poorly to any number of situations any number of times before you learn the painful lesson. He really didn't learn, from what I could tell, at least from the literature I've read about him, which I've read a lot about Frank Lloyd Wright because for a long time I was super obsessed. After Jim Doyle took me to Falling Water, which I
That
legitimately thought was a waterfall, I did not realize, I didn't even know who
that
Frank Lloyd Wright was. This is like right when I got back from Japan. Jim Doyle's like, I'll take you to Falling Water. And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't want to act like I didn't know. So I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, that would be really amazing.
I'm
When,
up for a hike.
well, yeah, when we showed up, you can't see the house when you show up, but when we showed up, I was like, Sweet, man. I'm ready to go see this waterfall. We just drove a long ways to get here, and this is this like a Niagara Falls kind of a thing, or like what are we doing here? And then we walk, and suddenly out of the woods, you see that building, and it was just really quite the experience. And after that, I needed to know about Frank Lloyd Wright,
Yeah.
so I went super deep. But it sounds like he was a tough dude to get along with.
And then somehow, and this is the irony of the whole thing, that seemed to benefit him, in his career, at least in his legend. It certainly, I feel like that is an integral part of his success in the terms of his, the longevity of his person. Like it may have not won him any more dollars when he was alive, probably lost some jobs over it. Maybe financially it didn't help him, but I feel like the legends and the iconic person of Frank Lloyd Wright probably wouldn't be have the staying power if he wasn't that person.
Yeah,
You know,
possibly,
like
huh? Possibly.
like I feel like that has really kind of made him into the legend that he is in terms of that.
What
But me and
is
Ash,
that? What is that though? What is that about people that are kind of abysmal humans being really revered or having that lasting effect? I think you're totally right. There's
well, I think there is this uncompromising side of the artist where you have the artist that is just absolutely uncompromising. And a lot of times that can be asshole. Doesn't always go that route, but it's just like the uncompromising artist. And a lot of times that doesn't get you anywhere. A lot of times that cuts your career short. That can really kill you. But I think there are a few instances where it benefits you as the artist and as a legend after the fact. I feel like there's a few that squeak through the mesh that, having that personality destroys. And in some weird way, it kind of reverts back on itself and elevates them and elevates this like the character, it becomes this that mythologizes them in a way,
I think
in
you're
the same
totally
way,
spot on. I think you're absolutely spot on, and I think you
you
also
know,
totally nailed it. The uncompromising artist. Yep, that feels right.
yeah. And it's something, and it's like, as a artist, this is like, I mean, this is kind of the chief battle of it all. It's just like, how uncompromising do I be? How much does dinner tomorrow night matter? How much does my mortgage matter versus how much does it matter to be this kind of legend of myself and not compromise and say, you know, fuck off to someone with a sweet job because they don't want to make some small concession that I want to see in my art. Like, and how did, and I'm not the uncompromising artist. I mean, that's just not who I am, and that's not who I'm going to be. I know that I am far too practical. Like I am just like,
far too
I
far
am,
too practical and understanding of how you need to
yeah,
survive.
exactly. I'm the 401k artist. Like I'm worried about 67 day in and day out, and I'm thinking, God, like I'm getting older. How am I going to navigate this? I'm going to not when I'm set, 53. I'm going to be not able to do 3 extra pieces a year. So I need to have the income. Like I
Right.
got to have it all mapped out, and it's got to work, and those numbers got to crunch, and it's got to make sense,
Yeah.
and it doesn't ever have to get to the razor's edge. Like and I think that probably holds me back in terms of that, like Frank Lloyd Wright legend status. But I think we are who we are.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
can't fake that. You can't fake the uncompromising artist. It does not work.
no, you can't fake it. And here's the thing: it comes at a price. It comes at a
Oh, yeah.
price. The uncompromising artist comes at a price that any reasonable person is too smart or too logical to be willing to pay.
Yeah. It's the Van Gogh effect. It's like you can spend your whole life with nothing and achieve meteoric status in the afterlife. But I mean, there's a big case to be
Sure
made.
was a crappy time while you were alive, though.
Yeah,
Like I
like
mean, come on.
his relatives love him, and everybody's got the poster. But in terms of his experience,
Yeah, probably not great.
yeah, what was that? And is that something you really want to strive for as a human being? Is that a career goal? I don't know. That's an individual decision to be made, but
Could you
it's not.
imagine though? Could you imagine working obsessively to get better at art, only to put together the pieces and to find this very special approach, and you do 16 paintings that way and then you're dead. Like you obsessed and slaved and toiled and drew crappy hands and shitty people for a majority of your career to get to the point where this brushstroke approach suddenly breathes genius into your work, and you get 16 times and then you're done. You're
Well,
dead.
zero reinforcement over that 16 too. It's not
Totally.
like they're like, oh my
Totally.
God, hit the nail on the head, genius, and you get that. It's like you go to the grave thinking I failed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I have,
Somebody shot him out in the pasture.
yeah,
Who knows
I
how he
achieved
actually died? Like
nothing,
yeah,
it's just, yeah, no reinforcement. I mean, I can kind of conceptualize. I mean, we've been doing this long enough where it's just like, it's not, ticker tape parades every day. There's definitely been those moments where it's just like, whoa, okay, like, what am I doing here? But yeah, I can't imagine like that kind of like zero success artistic lifestyle
yeah.
where it's
Be
like
devastating.
nothing.
That's
You
like
pray for an afterlife at that point because you just hope the guy is now at least aware of his legacy.
yeah. You wonder.
Like
Yeah, you wonder
you feel like,
if he's out there like,
yeah, you
that's
feel like he
awesome.
deserves that. If life could give him anything, you hope it gave him that,
Yeah.
because really that's a chip, to just to have.
Here's what else is devastating about Van Gogh though is you can't really go to any. There's a Van Gogh museum in Amsterdam, not that great. There are, Van Gogh traveling exhibitions, none of them very good. Why are they not very good? Because the thing that people want to see, there's only 16 of them, and never are they all together. In fact, rarely are there more than two or three of the payoff for all of the shit that you have to look at when you go to a Van Gogh museum or a Van Gogh exhibition. And that really struck me when I went to all of the Van Gogh things that I've gone to over my travels and experiences. You never get to see them all in the same spot. Those beautiful
No, you
paintings,
gotta,
like you don't get that ever.
you have to delight in just the little blips,
Yeah.
like I saw the Postman and that was just kind of like, oh, this is sweet. I kind of feel like like kind of late career Bob Dylan with Van Gogh. I really actually like his early stuff a lot.
You like
um
Van Gogh's early stuff?
yeah, I kind of do. It's a little darker, it's a
It's
little,
very dark, yeah.
yeah, I always kind of enjoyed that in a way that, the late stuff's fun and I enjoy that, but like the early stuff, I don't know, maybe it's kind of like, like when someone's like the Beatles that gets that much headline, I feel like there is a gravitation towards the hinterland of their repertoire,
You
because
like the
it's
underground
less,
stuff. You like the
well,
underground stuff
it's
before the big label signed the artist. Yeah, I get
yeah.
it. I
Oh,
feel you.
there's
I hear
that.
you.
Yeah, but it's less played, it's less seen, it's fresher. It's like
Mm,
we're all very familiar with the big guns.
yeah.
We've all heard the big songs on the radio. We've all like we know this stuff backwards and forwards. And it's kind of hard to see it with that kind of fresh excitement, you
Yeah.
know?
I feel that.
Whereas the periphery stuff, it's like you can get excited about in a new way, that you can't kind of the others. They're not, it doesn't diminish the others, but it's just like their value is somewhat diminished by the fact that it's just like so you've seen it so many times, you've heard it so many times. Like it's hard for it to really appreciate it,
Yeah.
you know.
I got a question for you. What's Austin Heitzman's Starry Night?
Oh, I don't know. God. I don't know if I can make that call. I think that's a call that you have to answer. Um,
There's
you
a
know,
there's a there's a piece that you made that stands out in my mind. Um, it was the cabinet that you made for Joe, the whiskey cabinet out of the walnut.
uh, that was
That was like something completely and totally out of this world as far as woodworking is concerned. I've never seen anything like that.
I was very proud of that. But see, here my problem is, and I don't know, maybe this is why I can't answer that. The only thing I think about that whiskey cabinet is I want to make the next one. I want to take that. I want to push it further. I want to do it again. It's kind of like you pave that road and then you're like, well, shit, like I missed that spot. Like I see these points where I may have like, I could have gone a little further. I could have done this different. Like you see the lessons you learn and then you're like, man, I want to apply those now.
Uh-huh.
And I want to do this again. Um, I guess to that point, hopefully I haven't made my Starry Night yet.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting. That's
you
interesting.
know,
Yeah, that would be
you're
devastating if you
talking
had.
Frank Lloyd Wright, hitting his prime at 70, as a mid-career artist, you're like, huh, is this the top? Am I peak here?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't envision yourself as like going viral at 73. You kind of think if I haven't made it yet, I'm not going to make it. But then there's all these instances of people who, didn't hit the big time till 50, 60 plus, that
Yeah.
their best
Yeah.
work is later on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so, you do hope that I can still contribute meaningful stuff for, the future,
What is that though?
into,
What is that kicks? Because like I can understand. I really got into following the narrative arc of creative people and artists after apprenticing with Mr. Kimura and kind of recognizing, oh, he has this narrative arc to his body of work and these generations of apprentices, and stylistically each generation was different. And I kind of saw like the youth and the edge and the exploration, and then sort of settling into the prime, and then sort of the post prime maturity, body of work, etc. um and I can definitely see the youth and the edge of youth and that intensity of all of those edges, like creating that super sharp, powerful, somebody's got something to say. But like what is it, or what happens to those artists that do have success at a later period in their life? Like what makes that successful?
I don't know. I mean, it might be just kind of having less to lose. I mean, I could understand the young artist, you got less on the line as a young
For
artist.
sure.
Probably don't have a family,
Right.
doesn't take as much to live. You're more free to do that kind of shit. You can take
Take the
chances.
risks. You can take the
You can take
risks.
those risks,
Uh-huh.
and you
You
got
still
the,
got time
you
to
haven't,
recover.
yeah, you haven't kicked yourself in the nuts. You haven't mellowed. You still have that kind of edge, that energy. You kind of want to show the world. You want to prove yourself. You have that drive. And so I think you're swinging for the fence, I think, in a different way. You hit mid-career, you've kind of paved this road that's you kind of developed, I think, in a sense, a style that people expect of you and that people are willing to pay you for.
Right.
Um, and I think there's a magnetic pull to that. It's like, I know, this is what I do. And if I know that if I stick to this, I'm going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can sell this work. I can make money. I can make a living from this work. Um, and I think there's a real pull to that. And it's really hard to just throw the middle finger at what, those expectations and be like, no, I'm not going to do what you guys all want. I'm going to do what nobody wants that hasn't been invented yet. And I'm going to try something wild and it's probably going to fail. And I'm going to reap the consequences of that.
Yeah.
And, on top of that, I have all this stuff to lose now. And so there's a real battle there. And I think maybe as you grow older, you get back perhaps to that younger period, where again, you have maybe just a little bit less to lose. You have that part of your career is behind you. Um, Kids, maybe they're gone at this point. So you're not really pulling for someone else. You're back to kind of pulling for one, maybe two at
Right.
that point. Maybe you own your house now and you don't have to worry about that kind of mortgage. Maybe, you slip into this period where it's just kind of, there's less on the line, there's less demands. You either have a retirement or you don't at that point. So it's not like you're worried about saving.
Right. Right.
That
Right.
day's
Yeah.
that day's
Wow.
done. And then I think maybe you can swing from the fence, and maybe you can swing in a different way where you have the experience that you've gathered over that
That's
time
what I
to
was thinking.
apply to that
Yeah.
youth.
You have
So it's like,
accumulated wisdom and experience. That doesn't necessarily create cutting edge, but for Frank Lloyd Wright, it did. I mean, Falling
it
Water was the
can.
most
I think it
profound
can.
structure ever.
Oh, I love the way he integrated nature with that
It's
home. I mean,
unbelievable.
the defining point of what I try and do in the furniture is just to integrate nature with the architecture of the furniture in that kind of way. I mean, that's the goal,
Yeah.
where it's the both seem like they can't exist without the other. I
Yeah.
mean, that was the beauty, especially downstairs where the river runs through that
Ah,
house, the creek. The way
passively
those
cools the
two,
house. Unbelievable.
oh, and just the way they're integrated, where it's just like, I could see no other way that this could be done. Like,
Mhm.
this is perfectly natural, perfectly integrated. Like, these two cannot exist without each other,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And that is like, that is the ideal. Um, and I think, yeah, it's like you have that edge of youth, but then you have that experience of age, and you combine those two, and that's a powerful cocktail. Unless you go the other route, you just get super conservative and you kind of wall yourself off to experimentation, and you kind of, it's an exacerbated midlife conservatism, you know, where you're like, this is what I do and I can't break out of that. I
Yeah.
think you can go two roads there in old age. Um,
Yeah, I think it seems to me the road more commonly traveled would be to become less malleable, right? As opposed to more malleable.
I think,
I don't know, but I do certainly notice in myself a certain sense of comfort that comes with repetition and routine, even though I try to fight that in my trees and my life. I see it. I'm like, oh, I see you. You're that dirty little trap that's
yeah, well, I
gonna.
think everybody craves comfort. I mean, I think that is an ecological, just natural evolutionary thing. I mean, that pit of concern in your stomach, that kind of butterfly nervousness when you were not comfortable and you were concerned about what tomorrow's going to bring, and you don't know if the future is going to be good. You know, that we don't want that. And I definitely have had
I
that
don't
many
want
a
that. The
time.
anxiety of that,
Yeah. I
as
mean,
I've learned more what anxiety is, I don't want that. I don't want that
yeah,
at all.
no,
That's a
no,
shitty place to be.
yeah, nobody craves that. No artist. I mean, people can stereotype an artist all they want, but no artist wants that, really. I mean, some maybe do, but they're half out of their minds, you
Hmm.
know, and they may go on to great things. But a lot of them also are just going to end up, you know, in a shithole.
Yeah,
You
dead
know,
dish.
it doesn't work out well for a lot of them,
Right.
you know. Mild genius in there. But yeah, nobody's craves that, like, ooh, I want to feel the anxiety of losing my home next week. You know,
Yeah.
no, that doesn't appeal. Um, and I think being an artist, there is this kind of dance though, where you do have to experiment and expand. Otherwise, it gets stale, and you kind of lead yourself unintentionally to that point. I mean, you can definitely, I think, neuter a career by becoming too conservative and too comfortable,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you do have to, like you're saying, recognize that instinct in yourself and push against it. Um, I think experimentation, and I just think expansion of just intellect and in general. Like, I don't even think it has to be in art. I just think exploring, finding interest outside of yourself and exploring new things, they all kind of cycle back around
Mm.
and come back to the art, I think. And I
You think
think the
they feed it?
more
They feed it. The influence
they
feeds it.
feed it, yeah.
What do you explore?
I mean, it's been said a million
Oh,
times, but I mean, like, the fossils are
fossils.
real
Yeah. What am I
obsession for
talking
me
about? Dude, the
these
fossils have
days.
gotten big time obsessive for
I,
you.
oh yeah, totally. I mean, I missed it by that much, but I almost had a new species named after me. I
Uh-huh.
mean, there's a bucket list for you. But that exploration has been, big. I mean, that got me through the last 3 weeks. I went out right before the hernia surgery to a spot where you get these little balls of rock that have crabs inside of them. It's a real prolific spot. It's real easy to find them. Um, and I filled up 3 backpacks. I went out there, filled 3 backpacks, probably 80 pounds of backpack of concretions, of rocks, 3 of them. I mean, I had to cross a river that was waist high, fast flowing, and I was just going back and forth, sherping these bags of rocks, just full of them. Dumped one out in the truck, took the empty one back across, filled it up again, sherped it back. I crossed the river 6 times, and out of that 3 bags of rocks, I got two really sweet ones
Oh, wow.
and a lot of crap.
Uh-huh.
Most of the rest was junk, but I got two really sweet ones. One of which I've been on the hunt for a while. It's a spider crab, and so it's got these just insane long arms that just never preserve. They break off. The crab dies, the arms go. So finding one with the arms is just like, and this one only even has one arm. But even that is just like exceptionally rare. I mean, I only know of one with both arms in existence in this world, you
Wow.
know, and I've been hunting for one with just even one claw, you know. It's just like, if I can get one claw, I am in the money on that one, and nailed one on this run.
Wow. Wow.
So and then I weighed them all before I went in the hernia to make sure that everything was under my 10 pounds, and just kind of shipping at those as soon as I could walk to the garage after like 5 days.
Uh-huh. You've just been out in your
And
garage just chiseling on rock.
pretty much, yeah.
That's
And
freaking hilarious, man.
it's a scene. I actually went out there today to clean it up to get ready to transition to, because it's my finishing space. That chiseling rock and finishing just not work. So I was out there today sweeping up rock, teeny rock chips and blowing dust off of everything and getting it back,
That's great.
reclaiming it pretty much. So,
From fossil
my,
back to woodwork.
yeah, fossil back to woodwork. So,
What do you do with all these fossils?
I have a display case in the dining room
Uh-huh.
that I put the A team in.
Nice.
And then I have a couple scientists that I work with that I funnel new and interesting things to. They're kind of like my overflow valve. So I keep the stuff that I'm really into. And a lot of time, aesthetics matter more to me than scientific value.
Uh-huh.
Being an artist, and which works out well because I can give a lot of times the stuff that has scientific value is visually boring.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't really care about this. You really want it, you can have it.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to store it. So I'll dump them. I got a box full of sea urchins that might be a new species in the garage right now that the scientist is going to come pick up. Um, and then a bunch of starfish that might be new that nobody really has ever seen before. So I'll give him a bunch of those. I
Which would
kept
you
a
rather
couple.
be, a starfish or a sea urchin?
That's a tough call.
What if
Um,
both of them are new species and you are a starfish and a sea urchin?
that'd be pretty damn sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's another part of me too that like wants to use aliases for naming rights. In college, I for art school, I made this invented character that was like this like implanted mythological Wild West character that I lied to my professor and said was my actual relative. And I made all these artifacts of him and then
Nice.
lied to the local historical society and had an exhibit in there of my relative with all these artifacts. It was Andrew Jackson Brazos was the name. My dad wanted to name me Brazos when I was born, and my mom was like, "Hell no,
Right.
no way we're naming our son Brazos," because he wanted me to have a good Texas name, and so the Brazos River, obviously, and so Austin was the compromise for that. But to have a
Austin is
species,
your good Texas name?
yeah, that's my good Texas name.
Wow, that's how you came to be Austin.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. I had no
my dad,
idea.
dad wanted his son to have a good Texas name. Brazos got nixed.
Damn, Brazos would have set you up for a painful life, dude.
Maybe, I know. You know what? The Brazos is Spanish means arms, which I think is even better.
Okay. All right. I'm just thinking about I'm thinking, well, currently Taft's in 6th grade. So I'm thinking if your name was
Mhm.
Brazos in 6th grade, you're fucked, dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
mean, that's purely right.
You're just gonna get totally taken under. Anyways.
Although, what do you do with Brazos too? That's
Yeah, that's
another.
how
I
I
mean,
was
like
actually thinking that right now. Like,
nothing rhymes with it, which is so you're safe there. It's just weird. So I guess you just get the weird glow.
yeah,
But
you'd be the weird kid with the weird
yeah, yeah,
name. Yeah. I feel like Butt somehow Brazos and Butt could be co-linked somehow.
probably. Yeah, that would go. I could see. So there's a part of me that would really love to see one of these new species named Brazos
That's
in
awesome.
honor
That's
of the
awesome.
person that never existed. Like
Yeah.
I think I would almost rather that than named after me.
Oh my gosh,
There's a real
that's
part.
so great. You created an entire person and had
Yeah,
a exhibition at a historical society of a fake person.
I'm a fake person. Yeah.
God, that's good, man. That's
And then
amazing.
I made myself the chief, you know, historical researcher of this person. So I
Yeah.
like became this prominent person in that field. So, I almost invented a person for myself.
You can
I
do
got
that when
real,
you're in art school. That's
yeah.
okay. That's
And
okay.
that's the young and being coldly. I mean, art school, there's nothing to lose. You can just go off the deep end,
Totally.
completely.
I
You
think you're
know,
encouraged to, aren't you?
yeah. I mean, that is the concept. That's the delight, and none of that I think applies well to the real world. Maybe I don't know. There is some skills that you derive through that, but when you
That's
put it on a resume, people look at you sideways.
totally.
You know,
But I feel like
uh,
that's just artists in general. Like none of it really applies to the real world. There's really no logical path or reason to fit in or be
you
doing it or have
have to
purpose.
think very creatively about your experience and skill set to apply to the real world. You are outside the box of the, what is expected and what is, this is you do not apply to the systems that are set forth.
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely.
Like
What
I've
would you
never,
do? What would you do? What would you do if you were not doing what you're doing? What would you do?
I, I do not know. I face this on a daily basis.
You think about
Thinking
this though,
about,
right?
I do think about this honestly. Yeah. And it's just like, there's a big part of me that I'll labor for myself, but I don't have much interest in laboring for other people.
Sure.
And I feel like, the artist, like the one thing that easily applies would be some construction or like
Uh-huh.
some sort of construction application. But I have absolutely zero interest in abusing my body and laboring and putting myself through that for someone else's dream. I will destroy myself for my own dream. I will
Hmm.
work for 2 years with two hernias and my intestines squeezing out. I did 8 pieces on a broken kneecap, one of which was a full dresser and a dining table. No problem with that,
Hmm.
but no interest in doing that for someone else. One thing that does intrigue me is having been through many injuries early in my career. Like we moved to Portland 1 year later, just as I was getting started, I blew out my back completely. Like
Mm.
I pushed myself. I was working 3 jobs and trying to get a start in furniture. Hurt my back. Worked a day on it. Then went and worked 2 12-hour shifts on it, and then went to go work for myself on it and pushed it to the point that my legs just paralyzed and gave out completely.
Whoa.
And had to get to went to the emergency room, and it was just the nerve had been pinched to the point where it just wasn't firing to the legs anymore. And once the nerve, they gave me a couple shots, nerve, pain reliever. And once the nerve settled down, the legs came back, and I was able to kind of shuffle and walk again. But fairly significant injury, kind of sets you back when you need your body. Um, and there's been some physical therapists over the years that have saved my career, saved my life. I think, I feel like my career is my life. So, in
Yeah.
saving that and also just allowing me to move and be physical without a reliance on pain medication,
Yeah, sure.
because that stuff doesn't work. And I feel like it would have been really easy for me to go that path,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
very painful coming out of that. And it was painful for years. I mean, it was like, we had Coop, I had been pretty good on the back for a bit, threw it out like 1 month before Coop was born. And in the first year of Coop's life, I threw my back out 5 times.
Jeez.
I mean, it was so bad. He was crawling in, like as soon as he could like walk on his own, he would have to get himself into the car seat because I couldn't pick him up and put him in there because my back was so shot at times. It was just like a painful, just long year. Um, but then there's been these physical therapists that have just like pulled me back from that brink. Um, so I think if I were to have to choose something, maybe that would be the road I would travel, is to be able to do that for someone else
Yeah, sure.
and explore that. I think that would interest me in a way that this interests me. Because that's
Yeah.
the thing. The problem with being an artist is you can't do shit that you're not interested in. That's the curse. I think there's just a genetic debilitation where you can only apply yourself to your passion,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
Blessing or a curse though, right? Because it's like an ultimate gift too.
oh yeah, I mean I can focus like there's no tomorrow. I see it in Coop too. That's one place he does mirror me and it scares the hell out of me. Like I can see him lose himself in his room building a Lego clock with multiple gears to get the hands to move, his model train set. Like he's teaching himself wiring and he just loses himself in there. And I'm like, He's an artist, crap,
Uh, welcome,
crap, crap, crap.
welcome to the destitute life of an artist.
Yeah, I'm like, you see this your parents are living? Like, what do you think about this? Like time to start thinking hard about,
Yeah, but he loves it because you and
I
Ashley
know,
are both so talented and he's surrounded by it and it's his reality and you guys he has no other path, man.
I know, it's in him. I don't even
It
know if it's a
is in
matter
him
of
because
love
both of
or
his
hate.
parents are artists. It's not just one and then the other one's logical and normal. You guys are both super deep.
Yeah, there's no 50-50 here.
No,
It's
there's no
100%.
buffer. Coop's just fully inundated. He is
I
living the
know.
artist life. That is his reality. That is normal to him.
We should have got a sperm donor on this one and maybe given it a chance.
You know what though? When I think about this, it's like okay, two artists, and their kid grows up in this lifestyle, and that is their normal. That is comfortable. That is a sense of home. It's not that comfortable to grow up in a family where you are the black sheep for being artistic, right? That's not that comfortable because
Yeah.
the reality of living with people that are not motivated by creativity or art in any way is generally the environment is not up to your sort of liking for whatever reason. It's not a snooty thing. It's just different. This is my experience, anyways.
And well, I think that's my conflict within myself as far as just embracing the artist and letting go and being okay with the uncertainty. And, that's where all like I have to plan. And I have a really hard time kind of walking out on that ledge and not having it mapped out. Like the artist lifestyle makes me feel very uncomfortable
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
yeah, for
And I
sure.
think I grew up in a family, neither parent was an artist,
Same.
neither parent enjoyed art, neither parent thought about art. I mean, I remember the last thing my dad said when we moved out here to try and make it in Oregon was, I don't think you can do that for a living. That was the words of encouragement. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was, and it wasn't meant to be mean, but that was just like, they in no way understand this or even like,
And he might not be wrong, but
I know,
but
yeah,
but
they're,
but you're doing it.
yeah.
Nevertheless, you're doing. He
Well,
might not be wrong. That's what my
the
dad
comeback
was like.
is,
Can you make a living doing bonsai? I was like, I think so. And he's like, I don't know, man.
yeah, I know the comeback is I don't know if I have a choice.
Totally. Yeah. At this point,
you
you
know,
definitely don't.
it's just like, and then honestly too, it's like you look at people I went to school with and it's like, the graphic designers were the smart kids because they got the career track. They were the people that had the plan,
Right.
and they're like, oh, they got the jobs. But then now as AI creeps in and the graphic design industry is just being decimated and they're all unemployed and all out of work. And it's like, you know, maybe the long game favored me, like
Yeah.
all these years I've been thinking, you guys, I should have gone that path because I was going to be graphic design. I went to the first graphic design lecture class, and some guy in a suit walked up in front of this hall, and he was like, like given the, half you are going to wash out, but the half that make it, you can expect to earn 50 grand. When you get out of here. And I was like, is that it? I'm going to sell my soul for that? Like, come on, that's not worth it. And I
Yeah.
dropped graphic design that day. I was like, damn, I wonder
He
that
saved
choice,
your life. He saved your life.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Because,
Yeah.
there's been times where that 50 grand was like, wow, I'd take that.
I would take that any
Um,
day.
but then now I'm looking there and they're all kind of like trying to scramble and come up with a new career. And I'm like, wow, I got a head start on you now all of a sudden. How about that?
Yeah, it's
Like, who
tough,
saw
man.
that coming?
That's
So,
tough.
I mean, who knows? Tomorrow's uncertain. It always is, and always will be. And
I
sometimes poor decisions turn into good ones
Yeah,
somehow in
yeah.
weird ways.
It just depends on how the dice ultimately settles. But I remember when I moved to Portland, going to a coffee shop on any day of the week at any time, and all of these people on their laptops, like these young hip. At that time, they were called hipsters. Actually, I don't know if they still are called hipsters. I'm not in touch with really anything anymore. But like they were always working on their computer, and at that time in like 2010, Portland was the place young people came to retire. It was like the slogan
Yeah.
of Portland, you know? But I was always like, what are all these people doing? And near as I could tell, they were all graphic designers. Because Portland was like the mecca of graphic design from like 2010 to the pandemic.
Yeah, I know.
And I can't tell you how many people I've met, including Drew, the guy that built the arches, who was like, "Yeah, I was a graphic designer, and I came to Portland, and I realized I was gonna starve to death because there were so many graphic designers. So
But nobody
I
needed me.
became a metal worker, and like now, Drew's crushing. If he were a graphic designer, he would be screwed."
Yeah,
So
I
similar
know.
to like your experience, except for he actually became one and then decided to become like a metal genius. I do think those like interesting dog legs in life are really fascinating to go back and look and be like, that seemed like a bad decision at the time, but damn, it's good to be
I was
good to be a cutting edge furniture maker and artist now. Hey, Austin.
Well, it's wonderful because there are these forks in the road in your life, and you know there's millions of them over the course of your life and career, and it's really great to look back at some of these and be able to be gratified and say, I mean, Van Gogh never got the opportunity, but it's nice to be able to look back and be like, you know what, that was the right choice.
Uh
You
huh.
know, at that path, at that point, I had two choices. I went left, and it's nice to be able to have the blessed to be the opportunity to be like, left was good. You know, I can quietly pass into the night knowing that was the right choice, you know, and
You feel
you
like
don't
that
always get that validation.
was that like a following your heart kind of a thing? Because I do feel like if I trust my gut or follow my heart, those are one and the same in the way that it makes sense to me. Uh, it generally tends to lead me in the right direction, and I say generally because I can't really come up with a time that it didn't, but I certainly know when I haven't followed it, I've really paid significant price for that.
I mean, I feel like, I mean, I'm totally of the maximum better to make the wrong decision than make no decision. I feel like you can kill yourself with deliberation. I much prefer to just kind of like go with the gut, go with the feeling, go the direction. You can always course correct later, but to sit there deer in the headlights and indecision, you get nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm always definitely I prefer go over think, and when you do that, you're inevitably pulling from the gut. I think that specific decision was. I don't think I can say that was like this elevated gut. I think that was a bit of an 18-year-old kind of naivety of the world. I think it was a lot of immaturity in that. It so happened to lead me in this weird circuitous route that kind of has taken me to the day. And I don't think I would be here today if I made that other decision in any respect whatsoever. You know, I wouldn't be married to the person I'm married to. I wouldn't be living in the place I'm
Sure.
at.
Sure.
I wouldn't be living the life I'm living. I mean, I don't know where I would be. I can take some guesses. They probably involve Texas. You know, who knows? Um, but it definitely like it changed the course of my entire life. I know that for a fact. I
Yeah.
know that decision has completely colored everything I have experienced in my life.
Well, here's
Um,
what's hilarious about this is we're talking to you on a day where you are just prior to going and hopefully getting a release that allows you to lift more than 10 pounds because you had double hernia surgery.
yeah.
So it's not like it's delivered you to utopia, right?
No, no, no. This I'm not going to say
But
this is utopia.
if we zoom out, it's pretty fucking good.
It's there's really great sides of
There's
it,
good
and there's
sides.
like especially too in this. I mean, speaking of the graphic designers and AI taking out that, there's a beauty in the empowerment of being able to create your own industry isn't really the right word, almost currency in a
Yeah,
way. I
sure.
mean, being empowered to be not so much your own employer, but to have the facility to kind of have developed your own demand, developed your own kind of. I am not so much at the whims of the world in
Right.
that sense.
Right.
You know, like certainly economy plays a role. When nobody else has any money, it's really hard for me to make money because it's hard to sell to people who don't feel like they can buy. Um, but to be at this point where like, you know, I can't really be fired per se. I can't be downsized in that same way that some employee can. And then if an employee is fired,
And
it's incumbent on them.
you can't be replaced either. That's
Not really, yeah. And it's not like I don't have to like do that. I've got to find a job scramble. I kind of have this built-in kind of hustle already established, and it can be diminished for sure. But I feel like it's always kind of there at this point,
well, I feel like but what truer testament to the very unique amalgamation of things that go into an Austin Heitzman piece. It's your, it's your perspective, it's your aesthetic, it's your technique, it's your ingenuity. That skill set, you are creating a body of work that other people could emulate and would not get close to still. It would be something different, right? And that is
Yeah,
where you've built in this inability to be fired, because
yeah.
nobody else is going to make an Austin Heitzman piece. To get to that point where your work is so unique that that is the statement of your work is pretty special, man. I mean,
It becomes a signature, and people can't forge a signature. That's why I
yeah,
don't
it's
get
really
so
impressive.
bent out of shape when you get the emulators. I mean, it just happens. People are going, if you
Of
do,
course. If you're doing cool
it's,
shit, people are going to copy.
yeah, I feel that's more of a compliment than anything. I mean, you see the artists who say no photos, in their booth or whatever, and they're real paranoid about other people doing their thing. And it's like, well, if your thing is so run of the mill that anybody can copy it and duplicate it, then it's not that special to begin with. Like, honestly, it should be impossible for other people to copy what you do
This is
because
exactly,
it is you.
totally. This is exactly how I felt about like the secrecy of Japanese bonsai techniques. I was like, if keeping these a secret is what you are surviving on, that's kind of,
You've already lost the game
I'm
at
sorry,
that
but that's kind of,
point.
yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah.
bleak
I
outlook.
mean,
Like,
people asked, I was doing a pod, somebody asked, they were asking about the finishing technique, and they're like, I don't know if this is proprietary, I'm like, it's not. Like, what is it? I mean, it's like anybody out there can come up with this. Like, there's no skill in woodworking that is just mine. I mean, shoot, people have been woodworking since, man's made something sharp enough to cut wood down. I mean, these skills have been ingrained since the Egyptians and potentially before, we're
yeah.
just reformatting how we put it together, but the basic skills are set. You're just redoing the equation. I mean, it's like math. You can come up with infinite equations there and come up with new stuff, but the numbers are the same and the numbers are set. And so yeah, it's me that's the special component. It's me, the thing that you can't copy. I can tell you how I finish, I can tell you how I make it, I can show you how I make it, but at the end of the day, it's you can't be me. You
Yeah.
can't do it. You can't be my signature.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid just obsessing, trying so hard to forge Tony Hawk's signature. I filled notebooks trying to copy his signature, and I never got close. I never made a convincing Tony Hawk signature through countless efforts.
What were you going to do with that?
It wasn't even to sell. I don't, it wasn't anything to do with like any kind of monetary thing. I don't know. I think I idealized him, and I think that was part of my idealization. I felt like somehow being able to do his signature connected to me, him, in the same way being able to draw Bart connected me to the Simpsons.
Sure.
Like to draw a perfect Bart would just be like, I'm now connected to that in this way.
That's right. Yeah.
You know
It like that, in that way,
yeah,
that personal way.
We're now one.
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
So, and I remember how he had that specific way you do his T and the H. Oh man, I tried so never could. So I feel like in the same respect, like, I've seen people try to make my pieces, and it's like they've yet to fool me. And when they can fool me and be like, I didn't realize I made that, then impressive, good job. You've done something, but nobody's hit that mark.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks more. It would be more of my loss and mistake if someone's able to reach that point. Like if you can copy me, then I'm slipping pretty bad.
In that vein, do you feel like anybody has ever been able to do Nakashima the same way Nakashima can do Nakashima? Because I can tell you, I don't. I don't. You can
Yeah,
see a
I agree.
George Nakashima piece amongst all of the live edge furniture that has been made after Nakashima created this craze. His sense was standalone excellence. And it is absolutely of a class all its own.
There's this minimal integration of the natural with the architectural. The same as the falling water with that river on the bottom floor. It's
Yeah.
just like this perfect marriage. To the same point now where I even see kind of some of the Mira pieces that be produced, because I mean his shop is still producing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and even some of the newer work doesn't quite feel,
Yeah. Doesn't have it.
it doesn't have the same presence. I mean,
Right.
they're the same designs, they're the same molds, the same patterns, the same everything. And
Yeah.
they're definitely Nakashima pieces, but there is a different feel to them from his original work that he produced, I think. That is just, is his own. And the amazing thing there is they aren't so simple. I mean, they're not elaborate pieces.
Right.
It's very minimal in his approach. But to be able then, and that's an achievement in its own, to be able to establish a signature on a minimal level,
Mm-hmm.
when your signature becomes just a line and everybody's like, that's you, that's a real achievement. I feel
Yeah.
like that's something that comes with age is kind of like Matisse or, maybe to a lesser extent Picasso. I think he kind of got a little off this rocker. Um, but when you take this elaborate style you've developed and then you condense it and distill it and you just start stripping away what doesn't belong, and part of that is just, maybe your facilities failing. I know Matisse, like in his old age, he couldn't draw. All he could do was cut with scissors. And so he did these paper cutouts, but it was just kind of distilling his sense of what he does and what, to it's bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you get that simple, it's hard to be you in such minimal terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to make a statement that's big and like, loud and explosive. But it's really hard to do it with just nothing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. 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 I respect that a lot. I think you're absolutely spot on with that. It's interesting. It's interesting to think about. I've thought about it a lot as I look at Nakashima's older work and I've seen some of his pieces in person and like gotten to interact with him and stuff and just like the there is a difference, and what is that difference, and where does that difference come from, and how am I able to see that? Like, what is it about this piece that I feel like it's almost like in Japanese culture, the oldest son typically follows in their father's footsteps, and if you've ever seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi, there's
Yeah.
there's a discussion by one of the experts of sushi that they're interviewing about Jiro and talking about his oldest son because his second son also had a sushi restaurant, and they're like, well, the second son's crushing. His oldest son, that poor guy, he's going to be basically, chopped liver as soon as his dad passes away because he's never going to live up to his father. And actually, I had a girlfriend during my apprenticeship whose grandfather ran a very famous soba restaurant in Tokyo near the Tokyo Dome where the Tokyo Giants play. And she was telling me like, yeah, Grandpa Oji-san made the best noodles, and her uncle was now running the shop, and we would go eat soba there fairly consistently, and she would always say as she was eating them, yeah, they're just not the same as Grandpa's noodles, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like this. And so like talking about the Nakashima work now, which is basically one generation removed, and it's not the same. It's like, but what is that? And I would ask her this. I was like, but the soba noodles, same recipe, same making, same water, same temperature, same time, everything. What is the difference? Like, and I want to know what that tangible difference is. I almost do wonder though if it's like you can yell at water and it changes the it changes the composition, the molecular, not the chemical, the molecular composition of water, right? Like if you yell at it and freeze it and stuff, it changes the shape of the ice and the crystals and all of these things. So like the energy that you put into something changes the outcome. Could it
Mm.
literally be just the difference in the energy of one person's energy that's put into something versus the wavelength or the bandwidth of the other person's energy that makes that tangible difference? Maybe. These are the
I
things
think,
that's almost unexplainable, you know?
yeah. Well, I think there is kind of an unexplainable facet to reality. I mean, you know, shit's weird. The universe is weird. Energy is weird. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, it is weird.
there
It's weird. And we
there
don't
are
understand so much of it. That's the
yeah,
problem.
there is so many untangibles to just life and how everything works that, I do feel like, yeah, you can kind of see an energy in a way with things, I mean, just how something's created. I think you can feel a presence. I mean, to feel the presence of an object, I feel like there's something to that that's just odd when you think about it. When something is kind of transferred, with whatever that might be, like when you're working on a tree and you have a certain, different trees you approach differently. And I feel like there might be, that presence and that, the attitude that you came at it, it does get translated through. I think there
No doubt
is
about it.
some untangible to it.
And I can make sense of that. That makes sense to me, right? Like I had a bad day. I approached this tree, or I was having a good day, or I was this phase of my life, or this, whatever. Like
Yeah.
what really freaked me out during my
It's just
apprenticeship
the
is,
material news.
well,
Like,
so there was a client that was really disliked me from the very beginning. And he came one time and I was unwiring one of his trees. I was like in my first year as an apprentice, and he said something really nasty to me, which I didn't really speak that great of Japanese at the time, so I didn't understand fully what he had said to me until later. But he went to Mr. Kimura and told Mr. Kimura to never let me touch one of his trees. Anyways, we ended up, I don't know, 200 of his trees ended up coming to Mr. Kimura's over the course of my apprenticeship, three to five trees at a time. Sometimes I was there when they came in and I knew which trees were his. Some days I wasn't there because there were constantly client trees cycling through. But there was a consistency that when I touched his trees specifically, whether I knew it was his tree or not, it gave me a very bad feeling. Like
mm,
deep in my core, very negative feeling. And there were two or three times where that happened, and I was like working on it, and I was conscious of this very rapid change to the way that I felt. And I asked, whose tree is this? Because it was a tree that I hadn't seen come in, or, oh, that's this person's tree. And I was just like, whoa. And that really blew my mind.
I
Because,
could so
yeah.
see that.
it-
I mean, I think too, just in my own work, like, I feel like my relationship with the client, my relationship with the design, you know, very much impacts the product that comes out. I feel like if I am not completely feeling like if the client had a heavy impact on the design that I wasn't necessarily 100% behind,
Uh-huh.
I feel like there is kind of this, it makes it difficult to kind of execute in the same way. And I feel like if the client relationship's off in a weird way, yeah, I think it does kind of impact just the approach and the product.
But here's the
Oh,
thing. If that piece, somebody else handles it and experiences the feeling that you had making it, that's when shit gets weird. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying
Yeah,
right there. That's what I'm saying.
I guess I don't have the communal exposure to
Yeah, but that's a trend. But but
that.
but when that happened, I was like, "Whoa,
Oh,
this is," and it wasn't just once, and it wasn't uh, so random that I could manifest it. That was like really what
yeah,
sort of the third time that it happened. I was just like, mm-hmm. Well, this is pretty wild now,
yeah,
right? And when I knew it was his tree, there could be confirmation bias, right? But when I had no idea, never seen the tree, never touched it before, put my hands on it, and boom, I'm taken to the depths of like, really feeling bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is this person's tree. I find out afterwards. It's like, whoa, that was really crazy. That was when I started recognizing, like, there's a whole nother level to all of this that we just simply don't,
Oh, it's
we don't understand.
it's completely beyond
Yeah.
the pale. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, science doesn't understand. I don't know if it can be
I don't
understood,
know if you can
honestly.
quantify it. Yeah, I don't know if all of this stuff is quantifiable. I don't believe it is. I'm not, and at least not in any one of our singular lifetimes. And it does, I do wonder what burned in the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, I know. Do you feel like, well, what kind of cumulative knowledge has been lost
It's got to be
over
shocking. Yeah.
the
Yeah. We're
years,
just
and
having to
just all
relearn all this shit and maybe not as well under different context. And yeah, it's kind of
well,
a,
just how different cultures have kind of also kind of bent that, certain cultures concern themselves on certain things and then take certain things for granted. I mean, I think when you take the physical world for granted, this is kind of the base zero, like we are actually here, and you forget the part that it's just all energy and we're mostly just air, empty space. Like that changes how things you look at things, and I think things are more miraculous when you realize, no, I mean, we're hardly even here. I mean, we're just this kind of projection in our mind of this experience, but in the reality of it is it's mostly dead space,
mm-hmm,
you know
mm-hmm,
and then, like, how does a bunch of ball atoms, essentially, almost planetary, where you got a little core and a little thing going around it, how does that one dynamic create everything that works, and everything we experience? Like, I mean, it just feels like there's like this singular existence of things, but then all this experience that we derive from that, it just makes no sense to me. Like,
mm-hmm,
translating, like, when you take it to that scale, and then it's like, with all those, it's like you think of it as Legos. It's like, well, how do we build these Legos to get to the point where this is our experience? When it's just like on their own, it just seems incapable of
mm-hmm.
producing that
Yeah.
result.
Wow. Yeah.
You know,
Fascinating. That's fascinating stuff.
and where's that leap? And at what point does, like, sentience begin and end? And I always love it when you talk to people like, oh, I don't eat sentient beings, and it's like, well, that lettuce is kind of sentient, and like, in a way, I mean, they say trees are able to communicate with each other, right? What was that? What was that documentary, The Secret Life of Trees?
Yeah.
That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life, where, trees are able to share nutrients, and then they're able to drop foliage at different times to hedge their bets. So one stays green longer to take advantage of a warmer fall and get the energy of the sun. And then the other is the conservative and drops its leaves early to prevent itself from getting damaged by frost. And the two share their nutrients so that the two of them together combined can benefit from the other, whichever one is the one that happens to be the one that picked the smarter path.
Right.
um, that kind of collaboration on something that, I was raised to think of as just this, almost inanimate,
Yeah.
you know
Basically. Yeah. That
but
generation of, yeah, for sure, thought nature was
yeah,
inanimate.
yeah, it was at best a material,
Uh-huh.
no
Yep.
different than steel. And to think that, they're able to have these, when one is invaded by bugs, it can send signals to the others to let them know to produce resin to protect themselves. Like, that kind of degree of communication is fascinating,
Well, here and
you know
here's the more amazing thing about that is that was highly scrutinized as anthropomorphizing the tree to an extent that was artistic and creative license and not scientifically backed. And all of a sudden, now where we're at, which is 20 years after that was written and then, widely distributed, there's science backing a lot of the stuff that was in that book. And
Yeah, and
it's crazy and it's
all
fascinating.
done without a central nervous system that we can detect. I mean,
Yeah.
you think of this format being the way to,
This is quote unquote intelligence, dude.
yeah, this is
I
what you
think,
need.
yeah,
And
it's,
then if you can project that onto alien life, and it's just like, we're kind of set in this mold where we see ourselves and we think we're the model, and it's just like we're just one little small offshoot of this
yeah,
this kind
it's
of greater
crazy.
thing, which is just, yeah,
Do you talk with Ashley about this stuff?
to a degree. I feel like being married, we talk more just kind of about the day to day. I don't feel like we get as deep as often. I think when we were younger, maybe these days it's, who's picking Coop up from school tonight,
Totally.
and
Yeah, right.
what's for dinner.
How do we
Well, I got a
how do we
show
make it
this
work?
weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like it's just managing schedules more than anything these days.
that's
And then
funny.
just being exhausted and watching some stupid show to go to bed.
I'll bring this stuff up with Irene, and nothing could interest her less.
Really.
Yeah, nothing could interest
So
her less.
what's her focus? What's her interest? Like what excites her?
Yeah. I actually I think that's really has been something that I've like been paying a lot of attention to because I think she really finds like understanding the human mind
Mm.
fascinating. I mean, both of her parents were deaf and had cochlear implants that they got when they were much older, and her first son was born and became deaf in his first year of life and got cochlear implants as a kid. So she's had this like association with the human brain and this lack of a sense and the medical breakthroughs that have allowed for some compensatory hearing to take place. And so she'll like listen to podcasts about the brain and how the brain works, and she's just like, it is so amazing. And I could honestly care less. I could
You see the play.
care less. But I
Well, what
want
I've
to talk
seen of
about all the shit that
yeah,
is fantastical and unproven and could potentially be true about the universe. And she's just like blah blah
yeah.
blah.
I mean, Ash talks to me about the properties of metals and how metals, fuse and form and how they behave. And again, that's like somewhat interesting, but at the same time, yeah, I could kind of care less. It's
Uh-huh.
not That's not my whole. That's not my kind of artistic hyper focus.
Uh-huh.
But you see in Irene's work, I feel like from what I've seen of her documentaries and such, they're very much kind of exploring that dimension.
Oh, for sure. Oh,
Um,
big time. Yeah.
and then kind of in our approach, you're working with the living, I'm working with the dead, but the similar species. And I think that behavior it contributes vastly to both of our, like trees and their dynamics. Like, I mean, it's as much of the material is affected by that as the living, keeping it alive and thriving.
That's so fat.
Um,
I've never once thought that we both work with trees. Do you know how weird that is? That I've never thought about that until
it,
you just said it just now.
really,
Never once. Not once have I ever thought about that.
a little late to the game, man.
I guess, God, dude, just not picking up the early cues, huh? I missed the
I don't,
memo. I missed the memo,
maybe,
Austin.
I guess so. Maybe it's easy for me because I mean, it was Bonsai
Oh,
that
it's
got me
just
hooked on
such a
woodworking.
it's such a
So they
statement.
were
That's
correlated
crazy.
directly for me.
No,
Um,
I get it. I get it, and I'm
but
I'm I'm embarrassed to say that. I think I've always sort of connected with you on creativity and then bonsai, but like you're such a phenomenal furniture maker outside of the bonsai realm that like, and I know that, and I have your furniture in my house, like you're the person I think of to make creative artistic woodwork, and I've never really thought that we both work with trees. Never thought
yeah,
that once. That's
I think
crazy. That's crazy.
for
I'm
me,
ashamed to say that, but I'm coming clean today.
that's what this is for. People enjoying our
we've had
therapy.
we've had multiple therapeutic sessions on the
Yeah.
asymmetry podcast.
But I think the interest for me in word working is coming from the trees. I don't think, I mean, you look at all the woodworkers in the world, everybody's kind of got their path and what they do, and there's the people that, buy a unit of material and they make established designs from that unit of material. Um, but that side really has very minimal appeal to me, which is unfortunate because I think it would probably be a little easier to make a career doing that. Um, my chief interest,
If only you could get excited
I
about
know,
that, right?
it's really sad when you pick the hard route of the hard route. It's
Mhm.
like I'm going to pick this impossible career and I'm going to go about it in the most impossible way that I can figure out. Um, but for me, it's that kind of the individual characteristic with the individual species, the weird. species, the odd tree, the one nobody's cut, the one nobody's seen. That's what really gets me
Uh-huh.
excited. You
Uh-huh.
know, like I mean, the other day I milled up this Japanese maple that I've had my eye on for almost a decade now. It's just down.
Like
It's 2 blocks.
you had your eye on the living tree?
The living tree.
Uh-huh.
It's 2 blocks from my house. Massive. Just this like ungodly Japanese maple. I mean, it's kind of the house is probably the oldest one in my neighborhood. There's a beach in front of it. I mean, the beach has probably got a 6 foot to 8 foot diameter trunk. Just,
Wow.
just beast of a tree. And this Japanese maple, maybe 6 foot, 5 to 6 foot diameter trunk.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like the most, and it was I forget, I don't know the name of the species, but it was the one with those very tiny leaves that were just real nice and tight. And they tend to be the larger of the Japanese maples. They tend to
Wow.
get the bigger. Um, but I mean, this one, it overhung the street, you
Six
know, I
foot
mean,
diameter trunk Japanese maple. I didn't know that existed.
this thing was a beast and it was just amazing. I mean, as a living species, it was just inspirational. And, you know, you walk by it and you're like, this guy is late life. He's fully mature. This guy is cresting the hill.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to come down one day. This property, it was a double lot. You know, in Portland, double lots, just they got a time that's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
There's going to be some houses going up on there one of these days. You can only preserve that for so long. And I'd walk by that tree and I'm like, you know, when the time comes, God, I want to be here and take advantage of it. And like I was saying, overhangs the street. And one day I'm walking Maui over there and I look down the road for, I don't even know why. And it was just like, it was kind of naked all of a sudden. I didn't even realize it at first, but it was like the road that used to be overhung and wooded. All of a sudden I'm looking, I'm like, God, it just seems a little more sparse than I'm used to. And I kind of take a second look and that fucker's coming down. They got all the branches lopped off.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Unfortunately, some ding dong cut a big wedge like 3 feet up on the trunk
Oh,
and took 3 feet out of it productively. Um, but I was still able to get 6 feet even with that.
jeez.
And went over there, talked to the guy. I was like, hey man, like, can I have it? Can I get this out of your way? Like, how can I get this tree? You're taking it down today. I'm gonna assume you don't want it. Like, what needs to happen for me to get this? And he's like, you know, we got a guy coming at noon to dig the foundation. This thing has to be gone by noon. He's like, if you can, it's 9 o'clock at this point, you know, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And he's like, you can get this out of here by noon. It's yours. You can have it. I was like, okay, I want to make some phone calls and I'll be in touch. Managed to, you know, call up my neighbor, get his truck that can pull more than mine. Went down to the local, you know, material, the Lewis Rentals, you know, rented myself a tilt trailer and, you know, was over there by, you know, 11:30. And the guy had the excavator. I was like, hey man, do you mind just picking that up and dropping it on this trailer? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Drop that fucker on the trailer, swung it to the house and got it to a mill.
Wow.
And I'm sitting on that puppy. And it was, I mean, for all the majesty that was that tree alive, the wood was just, it's all curly. I mean, it's just like curly Japanese maple with color. One of the giant branches was hollow, rotted out, but still vast coffee table size slabs of this puppy.
Wow.
Japanese maple, which is an amazing wood. I mean, it's like there's soft maple, hard maple, and then there's Japanese maple, which is just that extra degree harder than the hard maple. And it has this like mild translucence that's almost like a marble. Like it almost looks like a kind of marble when it's
Interesting.
finished. It's amazing.
Are you gonna
Um,
make something big out of it? Like, are you gonna try to maximize the whole slabs of wood?
I preserve that potential. I mean, that's kind of when I'm cutting something up, that's always my goal is to preserve maximum potential.
Yeah,
It may not go that route. I don't know. I
sure.
mean, at this point, it has to dry 2 years. I could lose that potential over the course of those 2 years.
Of
It could
course.
break up. Like, it's a crapshoot. You know, it's like it's too early to start planning that baby's future because,
Right.
I mean, it's not out of the womb yet.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I cut it at 2.5 inches thick. I can always cut it thinner later, but again, it's just like you want to maximize that potential. So yeah, I mean, there is certainly potential for coffee table plus out of that puppy. And
Dude,
it
you
would be
tempt me
sweet.
with these things, Austin. You tempt me with these things. You talk all this magic.
And that's my
I
job,
want a Japanese maple coffee table that is 6 foot long. That sounds
man. Well, we don't even
awesome.
have we don't even have to stop there. I mean, you
I'm
talk about that
interested in
piece
the
Joe
Manzanita.
has, and, oh, the
I'm
Manzanitas.
interested in the Manzanita.
Did you see that display cabinet
I
I did out of that thing?
I did.
That was
It was
pretty
awesome.
awesome.
It was
I was
awesome.
super stoked on that. I was super stoked they got. That's another one where it's just like relationship with the client, I think made all the difference,
Mm-hmm.
like they were just, it was just, it was a really good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they had parameters and they had things they wanted, but the way that was expressed, the way we worked together, it just all worked. And it was just like my vision and their vision just coalesced. And
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the piece just totally benefited for it. Like they were able to allow me to make decisions that were important for me to make, and I allowed the input that was important for them. But yeah, it was just that like perfect man. And man, I'm super happy with that piece. Like I'm
Simpatico.
thrilled. Yeah. And the way, I mean, for me, it was all about light. They wanted a display cabinet. And for me, display is all about light.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to put light into it, like LED, implanted light. I wanted it to make its own light, and that Manzanita darkness on the outside with the elm lightness on the inside. I feel like that piece just glows with no light whatsoever,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really
no
something.
like no electricity needed. And that was just like, yeah, I'm all for that. So, and that Manzanita is still more. I didn't even touch the big stuff. Big stuff still sitting there.
Talking dirty to me like
Oh,
this.
I know. Yeah, the
Jeez.
bonsai world needs to come over to the people have been there's been some mild tentativeness on the Manzanita because it is so strong color
Mm-hmm.
wise. I mean, it's that red is just like super intense. And I think that people are a little scared of it taking over. And I'm like, no, just has to be used right.
But
There's
you
nothing to be scared
can
of here.
but the beauty of bonsai is you can have as much red and as bright of red and as eye-catching of red as you want, and it only makes the tree look better.
I know, old red and green. Come on.
That's what I'm
Like,
saying. It's the ultimate complementary. Excuse me. It's
I
the ultimate complementary. Like,
know.
so if you have this bright green, healthy tree on this red manzanita, it's gonna be like,
It's going to be greener
yeah,
and
it's
brighter.
exactly.
And
That's
it's
the
going to be
thing. Anybody
better.
who's scared of that, it's like, what are you're scared of your tree looking more awesome? Is that what you're
Well, I
scared of?
mean,
Don't fear that.
yeah. Oh, that's just color theory. And not everybody's, like completely understands. I went to school for that concept. I
Yeah.
deal with that every day.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where it's a just, trust me scenario. It's like I'm not gonna lead you off the cliff.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna go on an adventure and I'm not gonna kill you. But yeah, no, and then I mean, come on, like the juniper is like, I mean, as far as like Yamadori bonsai goes, I mean, the red vein juniper is just like a mainstay.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
again, like the vein on the juniper is just like a couple degrees down from that manzanita red. It's just a little bit lighter. It's just
Yeah.
like that perfect dial down where it's just like big heavy here, lighter red there, and the green sings and everybody, I mean, it's just like we're all happy. It's just like that, the elm and the man is going to make its own light.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to become electric.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and it's going to happen. It's going to happen, damn it, I'm going to make sure it does. People are starting to, I just finished a piece for Jeremiah that we put a little manzanita accent in it. It's not 100%, and he was a little scared of it, and I'm like, oh man, come on, let's just put a little touch in here
Yeah,
and
let's
it'll be
dabble.
good.
Let's dabble a little
And
bit.
he's stoked on it. So I think it's just like, again, it's left field.
Yeah.
Like Manzanita doesn't exist in the lumber world, which is what turns me on so much about it.
Yeah.
Aside from the color, it's just like, this is the impossible thing. I mean, this is a thing that my whole career has been a given that this cannot happen. You cannot
Uh-huh.
mill a manzanita tree. You cannot find a manzanita big enough to mill,
Uh-huh.
you know? And then it's just like, it's been kind of like this, well, okay, I'm gonna, and I hunted for that for years, and it was just like sniffing out rumors. And it's just this game where it's just like, this can't be done. I hear these wild stories of people saying things that give me hope that it can. And it's just like, I'm going to find this thing. I mean, the fossils are the same stupid quest where it's just like,
To find an unidentified species that you can name after
it's just like,
yourself.
my favorite part of the is people, these old fossil exposures, they're like, yeah, that's tapped out. They
Uh-huh.
pulled everything out of. There's no fossils even left there. That's completely been excavated. There's nothing new, And the new species I found was from a location that people are like, there's no reason to even go there because it's tapped out. And I pulled, potentially a new species. There just wasn't enough of it there for scientifically just be like 100% on it.
Uh-huh.
And then already there's like potentially two more new species out of there. I pulled countless starfish and then like found parts of the exposure people didn't even know existed that were producing. Like these recent starfish I pulled, people thought this that petered out prior to getting to this point. And I'm pulling big guns out of this area. And it's like, well, okay. So I'm 20 feet down from where you thought it was over, and I'm
Uh-huh.
pulling out big guns. So how much of this really is productive? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, if I'm already 20 feet past the point of zero, does it go 40? Does it go 60? Like, I
Yeah.
bet you it's the whole damn thing, And then
Right.
what else is here,
Right. Why would it just be one small little area?
Yeah. And nature's never done, you
But then it
know?
could just be one small little area. Well, I want to go back to the manzanita because I think it's fascinating that you found the holy grail via bonsai.
I know. Yeah. I mean,
That's even more wild to me.
it takes a village. I mean, I didn't find it even. I mean, it found me. My desire to find it, I think, facilitated it because I think
Mm,
there was, I put the need out there, and when someone found the unicorn, they knew what to do with it.
yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was just like this perfect scenario where the community came together and was like, "Hey, I have this thing
Uh-huh.
that I hear you've been looking
That
for,
you've been searching for.
and I care enough to allow you to use it."
Yeah.
And that was this like, fuck,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was just this dream. Um, I know. And then
Oh.
and then it's just like at this point, it's like, okay, so I found this crazy thing I'm looking for, but there's no science on it. There's no like, this is how you mill manzanita, this is how you dry manzanita, this is how manzanita dries. There's no information out there. It's unknown. So it's like, well, we have it, but then can it be actually done? Like, is manzanita going to be compliant enough to allow itself to be made into lumber and not just break apart or deteriorate or, one of a million things that can go wrong when you're milling up a board. Same way that transplanting a manzanita tree is a fool's errand. It's like,
Yeah.
how many of those survive?
Not
Transplanting.
not a
It's
not hardly any.
Yeah, it's a one in a million. So it's just like, okay, am I going to run into this scenario? Like, am I going to exert this effort? I drove to California
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get this thing,
Yeah,
you know, and,
that was not a small effort
and overloaded my truck and then took it back.
for the
You
nine
know,
millionth time, right?
yeah, on a
I can't
on a
believe your
bad
truck is still
universal
alive,
joint.
dude. I can't believe your truck is still
I
alive.
know, I know. I love that thing so much.
I
I,
know.
I
That's how I
That's
feel
going to
about
be a
mine.
hard day. I mean, it's like a pet going. It's like it's getting old. Its memory's failing. Its hips are bad.
Hmm. You
But
call
I
its
can't
name
even.
and it can't hear anymore.
No, but I can't even shop for a new one because it's just like
It's
I just,
disrespectful.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Ashley gives me shit all the time. I'm like, this thing's just going to have to explode
Yeah.
before I can even talk about the next. Because right now, I mean, it's my baby and it's done some incredible things that no other truck on this planet can do.
Uh-huh.
I have overloaded it countless times. I've driven back from California, overloaded on Manzanita with a bad universal joint, with the truck shaking like, turbulence in an airliner,
Mm.
and somehow managed to drive that 12 hours that way, and it was fine. You know, I
And
put so
totally
much,
safe and very advisable to do,
yeah,
by the way.
totally what
Completely
everybody,
overloaded,
yeah,
shaking, falling. It's like Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon breaking apart, and you're like, we're going to make it. But there's nothing on
yeah,
the line. You're just like, I just love this truck.
yeah. I just have to do it with you, and every time it takes me home. I've loaded it to the point where the bumpers were I mean, all the way to the bumpers. Like I like to leave at least a quarter inch, but I've done it before where it's just like the bumpers are on the axle. I mean, the suspension's zeroed out completely, and it's just like, I guess I'll go slow. I mean, CPS will
Oh,
come at my door. I mean, Cooper went out with me once to get some wood, and it was, there was someone in the community was just giving me, it's had some really sweet walnut that they were trying to unload. And, when people have wood, you're like, I don't know, I got to see it to really understand if it's any, and it was like, oh, I see this. And it was just like there was a lot more, and it was a lot bigger than I anticipated. And I'm like, well, let's just cram it in there and hope for the best.
yeah.
And, it was hanging out the back 4 feet, and Coop's in the front seat of the truck with me. Suspension's completely zeroed out, and we're driving down I-5 at 45 miles an hour. And I'm like, Coop, this is what you do when you're overloaded in a vehicle. People are zipping by us like we're standing still. And I'm just like, yeah, but we'll
I
get home
love it.
eventually.
I love it. Dude, Cooper's going to be the coolest kid ever when he grows up because he's going to be like,
Uh,
I don't know, man. My dad just used to put hundreds of thousands of pounds in his truck, little four banger Toyota. And somehow, yeah, we just got from A to Z, man.
hopefully he understands how to wield it. There is a finesse to being that irresponsible.
There's definitely a finesse. There's a responsibility to it.
Exactly. Yeah. He'll either be cool or, catatonic. Who knows? One of the two.
Cool or horribly
Hopefully,
wrong. Yeah, one
yeah.
or the other.
Hopefully cool.
I think he's gonna be cool. Dude, it's always so good to rap with you, man. I gotta go make dinner for the fam.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks
sure
for,
you already had dinner. See,
yeah.
that's
See, I was smart on that front.
yeah, you planned
Um,
ahead. I don't do that well. Actually, to be totally honest, I thought we were gonna finish repotting to get today, and we got within 2 trees before I needed to come up here. So I've got 2 trees left tomorrow. It will be the first time in my career I've gotten every single tree that I set out to repotted.
really?
Yep, this is the
Uh,
first time in the history of Mirai that what I planned on repotting, I'm actually going to finish. Thank
Congratulations to
you.
that one.
It feels like a
Squeaking it
big
in.
deal. It feels like a
I
big
think
deal.
2 is completely attainable. I think you can celebrate that goal at this point, unless the bottom falls out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's true, which could happen. But
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I do feel like it's worth putting out there. Like it's fair to say, yeah, we
So
we
how
we did it.
what's the tally on that then? Like how many trees is what you wanted to repot?
I didn't even keep track. This year, last year I kept track and we did 431 or 32 or something like that. I've never done that many. But this year, the thing this year that made it so monumental is we repotted so many of the iconic, like
Mm,
really large scale trees in the garden. I mean, like you name it, we probably repotted it. Big Blue,
wow.
#2, Rocky Mountain Juniper, #1, Big Twister, Gargoyle. The list goes on and on. Big Spire, Subalpine. I mean, we did all of the big boys in the garden this
So
year. Just
super heavy lift.
it was a heavy lift. It was a lot of stress. Um, and it was kind of like one of these things that was like a cumulative it was a cumulative amassing of knowledge that led me to feel like it was the right move to do this year. Right soil, which is hard to come by, right team of people, right conditions, good spirit. We made a lot of really crazy new compositions this year, in addition to all of these like stalwarts of the garden getting repotted. So it's been pretty monumental. Pretty monumental repotting season. The by far the most fun I've ever had.
Damn, I'm bummed I didn't come out today and see it all.
Yeah.
Have to be soon. Have to be soon.
You could have been here. Well, you could have been here because we also had the reason I didn't get them done is because Randy has a really good friend who used to be in charge of some timber crews down in Tillamook, and he retired from the timber industry, and now he does tree pruning. But
Mm,
he's like the most overqualified tree pruner that you've ever seen. And he's typically hired to do like massive removals in very tight areas and stuff because he has like a radical skill set. Anyways, I had to prune some trees that were hanging over significant parts of the garden where I could not move all of the bonsai. I had nowhere to
oh,
put them.
yeah.
And so he comes out every 2 or 3 years because the forest is constantly encroaching on the garden. And so today, I was like busy being like, okay, prune that one, but not that one, and prune that one, but not that one, while he's also like, not dropping like a 200-foot tree on the garden and stuff like that. So it
Yeah.
was it was like a super eventful day.
That's some high intensity pruning there.
I actually feel exhausted, and all I did was watch and tell him, what to cut and what not to
Yeah.
cut. But I could not believe his proficiency with a chainsaw. Like he's been up here 3 or 4 times over the course of the past 15 years. Randy introduced me to him early on, but like his name's Dave Walker. He's a fantastic guy, but like the most talented like arborist that I've worked with, uh, bar none. Like dude is just dialed in. His
Mm,
proficiency with a chainsaw, one hand on the chainsaw, one hand on the branch or
yeah.
trunk of it. I was just, I mean, the strength and the knowledge. And he was dropping branches from like way up in a tree. He was dropping branches down, irregular shapes, different spans of branches and leaves attached to them and stuff. And he was making a perfect pile. They stacked on top of each other. The pile didn't even fall over. You're
Wow.
talking
Yeah, it takes
15, 20 branches. Mature. I'm talking coming off of a full size 80-foot big leaf maple. And he had 15 branches stacked high and the pile didn't even fall over. Shit was crazy.
probably didn't even sweat the whole
He wasn't
affair.
sweating. He was so calm
Perfectly
and
calm.
comfortable and in his element. I was just like,
Yeah.
he puts the spikes on, climbs up a 120-foot tall cedar, selectively limbs it while he's up there, can't see anything that he's doing. The whole thing. I was just like, God, Doc, this dude is on point.
Artistry in
Yeah,
another
it
form,
was. It was art. I love
you
being
know?
around people like you, like him. That shit raises my level. It's awesome.
It's fun to experience. It's fun to experience
Yeah, yeah,
all those levels, all those expressions, all those permutations of it, you know.
it is.
I'm
It
with you on
is.
that one.
You
I
just
love opening
realize
it up.
how vast like the skill sets are that people have obtained and built for themselves. It's like, man, hats off to you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, when you have to do this stuff too, you kind of have to seek those people out and, to achieve the level you want to achieve. You need these people on your team,
Absolutely.
even tangentially occasionally coming in to help you with that one thing. But yeah, it's that kind of cumulative. I go to, the guys who mill up these logs for me. It's the same thing. It's just like they know their shit,
Yeah,
and I know enough to kind of know what I want, but they make it happen.
yeah,
And it's awesome to watch them work,
yeah,
and it's awesome to work with them. And it's just like, it just makes it all cool.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of respect. Well, it's certainly a pleasure
but
working with you, Austin. I'm glad we got to catch up, man.
yeah, me too. Yeah, good chat. And
I'm
fingers
sending you
crossed
good
for tomorrow.
vibes. Yeah, I'm sending
Yeah.
you good vibes. Everybody listening is going to be sending you good vibes, probably while you're at the doctor's office, because that's when
Well,
this will come out.
hopefully so. Hopefully, when I drop my drawers and he takes a look, he's going to be like, "Yep, I'm feeling those
That's
vibes."
the finest hernia recovery I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. Fully integrated mesh.
That's right. Go load her down to the axles now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So
Well,
Hopefully.
I hope it goes well for you, and I'm really excited to see this Frank Lloyd Wright project. And I know you've got
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff on the plate to get going and caught up on.
Yeah, there's some crazy shit coming down the works. Some of it I can't quite discuss until it's done. So definitely it'll be more to see.
We'll
There's some
circle
cool
back.
shit coming forwards. Yeah, there's some exciting stuff. I'm actually real happy right now. There's some real exciting projects.
Congrats,
So
man. Congrats.
yeah,
You carved a pretty sweet niche out of the world.
I surprised myself. It's no niche I ever expected. I'll tell you that. I never set out to carve it. It just carved me in a way. So yeah,
You've carved each other. How's that?
that works. That works for sure. And feel lucky to do so. So yeah, enjoying every minute of it.
Right on, dude. All right.
So,
Well,
all right.
let me know how it goes tomorrow.
Will do. Have a good night.
Sounds good, Austin. We'll talk to you later, brother.
All right. Bye.